Hi, I'm Monica.
And I'm Dunya.
Welcome to Sip It, a podcast by SnaptureThis and CreatorClub focused on all things entrepreneurship and cafe culture. Co-hosted by besties and business owners Monica and Dunya.
This podcast will be where we chat all things Toronto, from the cafe and restaurant scene to entrepreneurship and small businesses. We'll be bringing on amazing business owners, influencers, and storytellers from all across Ontario to share their story.
We're recording from CreatorClub, a hub for big ideas, quality content, and impactful stories. The community of creatives is headquartered here in Toronto, connecting brands with a curated group of creators to produce content at scale.
Now it's time to grab a coffee
And sip it. Welcome back, guys. We are here for our third episode of Sip It. We're here with Christine today, who is the CEO of Balzac. I am literally fangirling that you are here with us because I can't believe you said yes. So we're super excited. We are like so honored.
Huge
that
fans
you,
of Balzac.
Yeah, we're
Thank you for having me.
I'll let you introduce yourself first, and then we'll kind of tell you why we love Balzac as well, and then we can roll through a couple questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me. I've been in food and bev for about 20 years now, so I consider myself a bit of a veteran in that space. I'm a huge coffee aficionado, and I'm a lifelong lover of leadership. So for me, this role of being the CEO of Balzac is both an honor and one that just fills my cup, pun intended, quite literally every day. So
Such a good cup to fill. Well, honestly, we have loved Balzac for so long. So just to give you like a little bit of our history, I guess, with it. So when I moved to Toronto in 2014, I like honestly didn't know anything about the city. We used to come down just for like dinners or whatever, and I only knew like a couple chain brands, and that's like really all I knew of the city. And then I started like discovering local cafes, and Balzac was literally the first like cafe that I experienced in the city. And I went to the Ryerson one literally all the time, and we would go there literally all the time. Like I think we started meeting up like every Thursday. It was like our Balzac day, and we would cry or laugh or whatever our like life had at that time. Literally, we have had like such special moments at the cafe. So it really
those
like
chairs before they were changed.
yes, before
know a
the
lot.
yellow chair.
They know
We
a lot about our story.
It's fine. It's fine. We're coping with the new yellow chairs. But yeah, it's a really special place for us. And I mean, we've talked about life, and like I've gone on dates there. I've like brought family there. So it's a really like special place. And it just like goes to show that the coffee industry it's not just about coffee. It's like bringing people together, like a safe place. And especially like during the pandemic, like it was one of the few places we could like go and like get together and like safely meet up and sit outside. And so it really like it means a lot to us, and that's why this is like such a special moment for us. And when you DM'd me, I literally cried because I couldn't believe that like this like moment was happening, honestly. And it's just like such a big deal to me. And like I literally sent her a screenshot, and I was like shaking because I like couldn't believe that you reached out. And
It felt like a very manifested moment, and we have like these
in that
weird
big time.
like manifestations that the two of us do.
100%.
And we've had that conversation where we're like, one day Balzac will come around, and Balzac came around.
truly,
It was all you. You did this.
it was such a
honestly,
moment.
kudos.
And we like we had a screenshot like in our chat of being like, we hope Balzac will say yes to us. And like when you did, it was like such a special moment for the shop. So just to give a little bit of like context to the people listening, we have a series where we feature 12 cafes on a print, and we were on version 4 of the print, and you had reached out and like said yes to being on it without me even asking, but offered to like have the cup on it. And it was like, it's so special, and it's really the last one I think I'll do for Toronto. So it was like a full circle moment. I would have loved to have you guys on the first, but it worked out in the end, and I'm super, super honored. So thank you.
Absolutely. I just love stories like that where you really have these moments of genuine connection with people and the brand. And one of the things that I like to ask individuals is always, where did you first hear about Balzac's, right? Like, what was the first cafe you visited? And more often than not, it's always some sort of a really emotional story connected to a time in their life that people hold dear. And it could be weekend trips. It could be visits to Stratford. It could be some sort of a family reunion in Niagara-on-the-Lake, you name it. But there always seems to be this consistency around Balzac's being part of that moment. And it really kind of made it more special, or was just the backdrop to everyday conversations. And the role that we can play for people in terms of fostering that connection, I think is really special, and one that really keeps us going as a team.
Yeah, it's so special. We are obsessed with the coffee industry and like what cafes
that is
mean
clear.
to us. Is it? Do you got that? But yeah, it was just such a like special moment for the shop, for myself, for us, our friendship, like all of it. So
Yeah, it meant
amazing.
a lot to us. What does it mean to be a CEO in a male-dominant space, industry? Like, what does that mean to you?
It's funny. A lot of people tend to ask me, like, why I send either social media or different types of answers, use my time to really talk about what this is, right? In terms of being a CEO, running a company, being a minority leader, you name it. I think that one of the things that I hold as being part of my responsibility, having achieved this level of leadership in my career, is being able to use my platform to represent and show others that, yes, it's possible. So for me, it's not just about leading a company, leading a team, and being at the helm of being able to make that impact for both consumers as well as customers, but also showing others that it is possible to get to this level and that you can get there too.
You're a huge inspiration to me. Like, my dream is to open a cafe. Like, it's definitely not on that level.
You will.
But
I feel like you're manifesting it now. You will.
I am. I'm putting it out there.
For sure.
But it's been really interesting to look at the coffee space in the city and to see it is still a very male-dominated space. And it's super intimidating because I'm younger, I'm Middle Eastern, I'm a woman, I don't have like a ton of experience in the space. So like I've been having all these conversations and it's intimidating and people don't take you seriously. So like you're someone I definitely look up to and you're a huge inspiration to myself and like people listening. So it just means a lot having this conversation and like being able to talk to you, and I've messaged you a couple of times. So I appreciate you existing, and everything you've done is a huge inspiration to women and women in the space. So
I think particularly when you think about women and coffee, there's a lot of women that are actually in the coffee industry, but not in the types of roles that you would almost want them to be, right? And it's interesting when you think about who actually picks coffee on coffee farms. The vast majority of them that do it by hand are actually women. But when it gets to those leadership positions, ones where you're starting to make decisions, you're at the forefront of doing deals with like importers and exporters and all that kind of stuff, it's not women. And I think that that's an interesting fact. And as I think about why we decided to partner with the women in the Las Rosas women's group, it's exactly that. We want to make sure that we're investing behind women's equity on coffee farms, not just in almost like those first jobs where you're harvesting the crop, but also in all levels of leadership, because we want to make sure that we continue to elevate the role that women have in the coffee industry, not just at home, but also at source. And I think that's a really special thing that you get to do as you think about what it means to be in these leadership positions and the type of impact that you can create as a result of it.
And I think that's like part of the beauty of being a woman CEO is that you want to not like you have space to have that impact now.
Absolutely.
And you're still approachable, you're still personable, and you're
cognizant
trying to help others reach that level. Right?
Yeah, lift other people up, lift other women up, and like bring them along with you too.
Yeah.
There's like we go back to like there is enough space for all of us. Let's like uplift each other and bring success to like everyone. You know, there is space in the industry too for other cafes.
Oh, there's loads of
women
space.
Owned, so
Canadians drink a lot of coffee. There's
Yeah.
space.
And it's so easy to be intimidated or not be taken seriously. So when you see individuals like yourself, you're like, okay, like, you know, I'm less intimidated because there is someone that I can look up to and a position that I can work myself up to, because there's somebody out there that looks like me, maybe thinks like me, and it just makes you want to achieve that.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was the International Women's Day a couple years ago now, seeing this great ad campaign talking about what do you picture when you picture a CEO, right? And I'm sure that the vast majority of people out there will not like picture someone that looks like me, right? And it's just one of those facts where you have to think to yourself, like, well, what do you picture and why did you picture that? And it's a really nice just provocation moment as you contemplate things like this, especially during International Women's Day week.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have any, I'm just jumping around a little bit, but do you have any advice for someone in my shoes that maybe does want to like enter the coffee space or the cafe space, or even just opening like a business? I know it's a pretty like broad question, but if you have any tips.
No, absolutely. I think like with anything, right? It's what is it that you want to achieve from a goal standpoint? And then what's the plan that you're going to put in place to get there? And it really is as basic as that, where have a plan and have an ultimate, where do you want to get to? And then I would say also understand what is it that you're offering, and along the way, developing the right connections with either individuals, suppliers, partners, you name it, whoever happens to be within that circle. Develop those authentic connections like we have, because I think it makes it much easier for people to relate to you when they recognize that you are human and this isn't just a random outreach cold call trying to sell you something like right out of the gate. When you have a plan, the connections, and then also that ability to just pivot your plans if something does happen to be a bump in the road, that's okay too, because whatever you think is the end destination at the beginning might not be a year in or 2 years in, and that's fine. Just course correct along the way and keep going. And just making sure that you're not aiming for this false ideal of perfection. So I always tell my teams, right? Let's aim for pace over perfection, and let's just try things and learn as we go. And you don't need to have something fully baked before you launch it into the world. And I think especially as you start to look at things like the cafes and menus, what's wrong with trying something out just to get some feedback and just to get some reaction and then learn from there? You don't have to go in with this very permanent mindset at all times where things are now fully researched and fully ready to go and now it's time to launch into the world. Sometimes it's okay to just launch a prototype or something that's a similar facsimile therein and then learn from it.
Don't be a perfectionist. That's really hard for us to achieve.
It's okay.
Okay,
We'll try.
We'll come back to that.
I'm a Virgo and like very type A, and we have very similar personalities. So I'm
We're
not sure about that.
Psycho
But
perfectionist, but
we'll think about
no
that.
promises. But
That's
we'll
why
try.
you have a beautiful store.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What do you feel is like the biggest challenge as a CEO?
There's a lot of challenges. I'd say that the macro level is balancing the needs of your team and your business with the constant changing expectations and also the external environment, right? And it's balancing all of them and helping the teams navigate through any kind of uncertainty or ambiguity that they come across, and having everyone understand that there's always going to be things that are in your control and there's always things out of your control, and being able to decipher the difference. So for instance, the menu that we craft within the cafes, that is entirely within our control. What's not in our control is if we get shorted some sort of an ingredient that's critical to that menu item and we're not able to launch on the day that we said so. So it's being able to just understand that not everything is going to be in your control in this type of a business, or in any for that matter. And that's okay. You just need to learn how to roll with the punches and figure it out, because there's always going to be someone that's a little bit frustrated or some friction that's unintentionally created.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So it's just constantly balancing that and then keeping your cool throughout, recognizing that at the end of the day, we're in the business of making people happy through coffee, creating those moments to savor, being the backdrop to their lives. it'll all be fine.
Oh,
You'll
I love
probably buy
that.
something else.
Yeah. As long as there's coffee.
It'll be, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That is,
Like,
if the espresso machine goes down, that is
it's bad.
red alert.
Yeah. Then no. But the roll with the punches, I think, is like super important. That's something that I have to learn how to do more. And because I am a bit of a perfectionist and I like things to go smoothly, obviously.
We all do, right?
You have to,
Yeah.
you really do have to. You have no idea what's going to happen. And we've learned that a lot over the last year, like, of the business. And, you know, sometimes the print machine is down, or
Right.
sometimes the streets are blocked in Toronto and we can't get to the market, and we have to
Walk
we have to
things.
figure it out. So yeah, the roll with the punches is really important.
I think what's great, though, is
Not
the
on
fact
your
that-
level, though. I don't want to roll with your punches.
I think what's great, though, is that whole idea of just constantly giving it your all and trying, because nothing will teach you more than the learning that you have in any given moment. And if you can find a way to just be 1% better every day, then that's all you can really ask of yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's such a skill to develop. Like, it's hard, and it's also hard not to take things personally. Like when a launch doesn't go well, for example.
Or if a customer complains or isn't
Yes.
happy,
Yeah.
Like
Like
it's
we have
not
people
always
walk
you.
by our booth sometimes,
Yeah.
like during at markets, and we think it's like the cutest booth there, and they're like, they're just giving us dirty looks. And we're like, what did we do?
$17 for a cup?
And-
I'm like, whoa. Like,
Or
You
I can go
are
to the
worth
dollar
it.
store for a card, and I'm like, then go to the dollar store, you know?
just having like a meltdown behind the booth.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we like cry.
cards.
It's okay, I'll go get us some coffee, and then I'll make us feel better.
truly.
It's so hard. I do admire everything that you do, because there's so much heart, so much creativity that's involved with it. And there's a lot of resiliency that any small business owner needs to develop along the way, because there isn't that same level of understanding of all the work that goes into it. And you see such a small piece of any small business owner's business in that one interaction, be it at a pop-up market or even in the store, right?
Yeah.
You don't see everything else that happens behind the scenes. And you don't see the massive negotiating power that larger players have that you don't have. So there's a lot of things in there. But I think similarly, whenever we're on the receiving end of those, we also don't know what's happening in a customer's life that day. So
Yes.
it's a little bit of understanding and empathy that goes both ways.
Definitely.
100%. What do you think about social media in general? I know you have your own like personal, but what do you think about it for a business? Do you feel like it impacts your mental health at all? What are your thoughts on it?
I think two different thoughts on this one. So I'll start with the business one first. From a business lens, I love the community that we're able to create through social. And I love the fact that even like we have this origin story that starts with DMs and social media, and we've been able to pivot that online community that you've created to being an in-person, in real life relationship, which is really nice. And similarly with our guests from our cafes, we have that same level of engagement because they spend such little time with us in cafe. They can enjoy us much more at home, but we can also be accessible anytime through social. And that's a nice thing to be able to create that community of coffee lovers online and then continue to engage them with other content to continue to have that shared passion behind coffee that we all love. So that's one piece. I do think that, like with anything, there's an element of balance that you need to create. And yes, social media has its dark side and it can be addictive. It can kind of have that moment with your mental health, which is negative, but it also can be used as a positive when you're trying to connect with family and friends that you don't have as much access to, particularly if you've got family or friends living in other parts of the world, right? So it's a little bit of both. I think from a mental health standpoint, it is about figuring out the balance and what's the right balance for you in particular as you try to navigate. Are you using social media today as a form of connection? Is it a form of escapism? Is it taking you to a different place? And monitoring kind of emotions and everything that way.
That was super well said.
Yeah.
I mean,
taking notes for myself.
We both have family like overseas, and
Yeah.
again, like it is such a great way to like connect with people all over the world.
Absolutely.
But it's also like it makes me crave Balzacs a lot. So the marketing and the advertising is working. So I mean, there's so many like pieces to it. I love the community I've like created through SnaptureThis, and we love our like Instagram family. And I mean, I literally probably wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for Instagram. So it's crazy the like connection you can build through this platform.
Yeah. I think over the past 2 years as well, we've had moments where the cafes have had to be closed for one reason or another.
Sad.
Yeah.
That moment where the Ryerson Balzacs closed was devastating.
Well, and I think that one role that social media did so brilliantly for us is it allowed us to keep that line of connection open with our consumers at home as we try to help them with creative ideas for coffee. And it's what we found over the last little while, especially, is that recipes in particular do really well, because I think when you look at what happened in the pandemic, a lot of cafes were closed for a period of time. People reverted to creating kind of coffee at home.
Yep.
The at-home barista phenomenon really continued to grow and explode. People invested in even more coffee machines and rituals at home. Yep. And as a result, you're really looking to get more creative. You're looking to invest more into specialty coffee and learn more about, well, what is single origin and all of these things. And that curiosity has really led to a great deal of creativity and just adoption for trying new things, be it coffee recipes or anything else. So that's something that we've really seen as a major trend over the last little while.
Yeah, the barista at home thing really took off during that. Like, I
100%.
watched so many videos.
Yeah.
I made the dalgona coffee.
Of course you
like,
did. So did I.
Swear.
And banana
all
bread.
did.
Actually,
We all
I didn't
did.
make any banana bread. I like that was the
But you
one
don't
thing
like
I didn't
banana
do.
bread.
It's
Not
okay.
really.
It's fine.
You don't love it.
I did make I tried the sourdough thing, but that was like
For sure.
that was
That's hard.
That was so much work.
It's not easy.
The cup, but like honestly,
Dalgona was easy.
that
and
was
shocking and delicious.
It was. But like during the pandemic, honestly, the thing that like kept me alive, because I was working at a hospital then, was being able to like go get a coffee. Like seriously, that
Absolutely.
saved my life because it was like the only form of like.
It's like reprieve, right? It's like that moment to yourself.
100%.
We wouldn't have
really
seen
great.
each other if it wasn't for coffee.
Yeah.
At that time, I lived in Mississauga. She was downtown Toronto. And I would drive down and we'd literally sit on like opposite ends of a bench at a cafe outside, but in freezing in the winter, and we'd drink our coffee. But it was like a moment for us to connect.
Yeah.
It is. It's that moment of connection, whether it's like connection with a friend, connection with yourself. It really is just that nice moment where you can just breathe and reflect, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we're gonna shift a little bit.
Sure.
What is your favorite coffee drink?
Okay.
And what's your favorite Balzac's location?
Okay. So I think you and I are a little bit opposite on this one. I drink hot coffee 365 days a year.
Okay.
I know that you are a cold coffee girl.
Yeah.
So I am hot coffee through and through. It can be 40 degrees outside and I will have a hot
Like
coffee.
my mom. Like,
See?
just can't.
She knows where it's at.
No. But have you tried?
Yeah, of course I have. I've tried all of them, but
It tastes so different when it's cold.
I really love hot coffee, and I am a black Americano extra shot drinker. So I am,
So you're like opposite of me because I'm that, but cold. And she's with the cream.
I can't believe it. But
No,
like the
no sugar,
iced,
no cream.
The iced
I love
Americano
them.
is so good.
There are a lot of, So I've had it, but I would still choose the hot over the cold.
And actually, this is like the most random compliment, but Balzac's has great ice.
Oh, they
Oh.
do. Yes.
Like it's like the perfect shape
Size,
of
yeah.
ice.
Yeah.
And
That's
it,
a
like,
very
'cause
particular
it
thing.
Stays so specific.
frozen.
Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't melt. I had posted this thing about like ice.
That's a
shapes.
big deal, though.
We're very particular with our ice cubes.
Because if it melts too quickly on like
That's
a
right.
cold drink, it's
Yeah.
like it's no good.
It's
and
true.
it's like watered down.
Yeah.
But like no, the Balzac's ice stays
this is
perfect.
good.
So
Thank you for that feedback.
A compliment.
You're like an iced coffee connoisseur, so that's a legit feedback.
And favorite location?
I like a few of them. So I love Distillery. It's one of our oldest locations, second to Stratford, and it's been in there for 20 years. So fun fact, Distillery District, we entered into that neighborhood 5 years before the distillery that you see today. So the two oldest companies within that particular area are us and Mill Street. Wow. So we have like a 20 going on 21 year partnership now. Wow. And every season, usually right in the kind of late spring, they come out with their Balzac's Coffee Porter, which is a microbrew that's available down there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I haven't been to the Stratford one. No. There's only like a couple that I haven't been to yet, but I'm almost there. I've almost visited all of them.
Go to Stratford one this summer.
Stratford is really fun. Yeah. That one, on occasion, you will see a certain local celebrity from Stratford there. But there's a few people.
I still like Ryerson will always like have a special spot for us.
It's just too sentimental. Like,
But I also love the one on Market Street.
That's
I love the St. Lawrence one. Like my family, like it's like a ritual. Like whenever they're here, we go to the market, we go to Balzac.
Absolutely.
And then we go
We need
home.
the seat by the window.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Or if we're outside, it's like, again, it's like the edge seat. Like we have our spot. Yeah. Like it's traditional.
That location in particular has really taken off recently. And I think part of it is the fact that you're able to bring in, like, let's say you bought food at St. Lawrence Market, you're able to bring it into Balzac's, grab a coffee, and just sit and eat. And I think that you actually see almost that in-cafe picnicking kind of behavior, which is also really, it's like it's very in keeping with that particular neighborhood, right? Yeah, and it's how do we make sure that across all of our locations, you cater to almost that unique local nuance and the different communities? Because I think Market being right across the street from St. Lawrence Market has that sense of like local community, and particularly on Saturdays, there's that real great market vibe that just happens to be there. And what is it for each of the different locations, right? Stratford, funny enough, sometimes we have baristas that go from one location to another and they'll recognize people that are in Stratford Festival, Shaw Festival. So from Niagara to Stratford, they'll recognize people. And even the customers will do a double take with our baristas. And that shows you how much connection has really been built up over time. Yeah, it's really neat.
I've actually gotten to know so many of like the managers and baristas and stuff over the years. And they're like such amazing, all of them are women. They're such amazing women. So it's really cool to see like the team and the teams that you like have built, and like just the growth, seeing them like go from like being a barista to like a manager.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of those really nice stories too. So it's really nice in particular when you see baristas who have been with us for a number of years continue to grow in their own roles, be it through supervisor roles or cafe manager or even regional director roles. We have our training and development manager. She actually started with us in 2014 as a barista, and now she's grown into that role, which is also really nice. And it's that promote from within culture that I think also makes us a bit special. And it's trying to make sure that you're leveraging your talent and continuing to foster their individual learning and growth along the way.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they all actually truly love coffee.
They do. We have a few tea drinkers amongst us, which is okay too. It's okay. It's certainly a minority, but it's okay. We embrace all of it.
You can handle it.
I don't know. Those tea drinkers, I don't know about them, but to each their own, I guess. But we've taken up enough of your time. We super appreciate you coming on. It's an honor to have you as one of our guests on our like first season. Like this is an amazing opportunity for us, and just I'm so grateful that you DM'd me. Like literally the highlight of my like Instagram
life.
My Instagram life. Like I cried. My mom, I literally like remember the moment. Like my mom was like, "What happened?" I was like, "She DM'd me." Like I can't. Like it was so amazing. So thank you so much for DMing me. Thank you for saying yes and being a part of the shop, and like continuing to support and like providing us with opportunities. So thank you from the SnaptureThis team, and
for just being an inspiration as a leader. I think that's huge. Like
and you guys too. So I think the kudos are mutual.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Sip It. Make sure to stay tuned for next week's episode. Subscribe, follow, and leave us a comment on who you'd like to see us bring on in the future. See you next week.
Sip It is produced by CreatorClub Downtown Toronto. Fellow entrepreneurs, if you're thinking of starting a show of your own, CreatorClub offers a super simple, scalable process to create high-quality content, access to talent, and a fully equipped studio to record your content. Be sure to connect with the team at creatorclubstudios.com and follow at Creator Club Studios on Instagram for more.